5 fights from now, 6 fights from now, I can put up a awesome fight and we'll see what happens. It could happen.
5 battles from now, 6 battles from now, I can set up a wonderful battle and we'll witness what happens. It could 3, 4 years from now. Yet it simply checks out, the two greatest names, the two most generously compensated fighters in the game grinding away. Jake Paul has recently given a stunning reaction to the possible retraction of his session with Mike Tyson after a progression of bomb tests, adding to the curve. John Kavanagh, one of Conor McGregor's mentors, has addressed assuming Paul and Tyson have arrived at a goal to their bout, which 60 should be battling, would seem Jake hits hard. He's taken out a couple of folks, so I trust that what will be will be. It's sort of a diversion thing, and they move around the ring. You realize sort of fights so forth. However long it's that thumbs up. Kavanaugh voiced his trepidation over Tyson's proceeded with openness to head blows, communicating an intense craving for the looming display to incline more towards a old competing meeting as opposed to an all-out fight. He said, I don't realize whether there's a wink and gesture behind the stage. Is Tyson going to be 60-58 full power hits to the head? At 58, no. It's anything but smart regardless of who you will be. You needn't bother with to do that on the off chance that it was somewhat of a presentation. And there's somewhat competing extraordinary John Kavanagh reference that he had been gotten some information about Mike yet about the peculiarity of YouTube box. All in all, he made sense of that. His viewpoint regarding the situation had developed instead of peering down on it. He currently values whatever urges more youngsters to take part in sports. He added, I was gotten some information about not really Mike, but rather this sort of YouTube boxing stuff. And my interpretation of it now, as opposed to being pompous about it, is I simply love whatever gets more children associated with sports. Kavanagh communicated specific help for battle sports. For example, A. Boxing, wrestling, and blended hand-to-hand fighting, among others. He recognized that on the off chance that Jake Paul is successfully expanding participation at nearby boxing centers that adjust to some degree with what they are attempting to achieve, he had it perfect assuming it's battle sports, boxing, wrestling, blended hand-to-hand fighting, or regardless on the off chance that Jake Paul is working really hard of filling neighborhood boxing rest centers. That is tad of what we're attempting to do. Shay Sonnen as of late underlined the need of clarifying the meaning of the impending session and its stakes. He brought up that Iron had been given elective matchups already, yet picked to wander into the domain of boxing, risking his standing all to deal with the issue. Kid, he commented, that is a piece of the story they need to tell, yet they need to, as they're letting us know it's not just about the cash. Obviously, it's about the cash, while they're saying it's not regarding the cash. You now need to uphold that with something, and Mike has something to uphold that with, which is he's turned down greater paydays. I, for one, don't have the foggiest idea why he acknowledged the battle with Paul yet. There's an explanation, and I couldn't want anything more than to understand what it is. Couldn't imagine anything better than to understand what might be said about that. Got him off the lounge chair. Chase Sonnen added that when people guarantee it's not necessary to focus on the cash, they comprehend the need to validate that assertion. He noticed that Mike Tyson had declined open doors for bigger paydays and communicated his own bewilderment in regards to Tyson's acknowledgement of the battle with Paul, expressing his excitement to reveal the reasoning behind it. Of also, he doesn't have a lot of time and the shame that an incredible like Mike Tyson would endure if he somehow managed to lose to a person with restricted experience. I can stop you not too far off. That didn't need to be Jake Paul. Besides, Sonnen featured the restricted time period included and the potential humiliation a famous competitor like Mike Tyson would confront if he somehow managed to lose to somebody with generally negligible experience. Sonnen then proposed that Paul may be utilizing this transition to get the spotlight of Canelo Alvarez. He communicated his conviction that Paul can possibly change into a considerable bad guy inside the domain of sports, especially in the event that he gets an ordering triumph against a prestigious figure. For example, Tyson Sonnen verbalized in the event that Jake Paul can do a sufficient occupation of spreading Mike's face in it now. To do that, he must be very despised. Assuming Jake made this a stance of I own boxing, I just took advantage of boxing, there would be the entryway for Canelo Alvarez to stroll in and say, no, you didn't. I'm presently going to emerge, and I will save boxing. UFC heavyweight break champion Tom Aspen has additionally communicated his qualms about the forthcoming coordinate during a new discussion with OBG Tom Aspel, the UFC's in-between time heavyweight champion, shared his fears about Tyson's rebound to the ring at his old age. He expressed preparing for a battle gives you such a lot of discipline and well-being and certainty and all that great stuff, so assuming Mike Tyson's preparation that is phenomenal in light of the fact that he clearly is getting up there in age. Yet he actually looks incredible, Aspel highlights. It's the effect of persevering through long periods of retaining blows on a fighter's prosperity, while recognizing that getting ready for a match imparts discipline and confidence. He communicated reservations in regards to the potential dangers going with Tyson's rebound to the ring. Aspen especially stressed Tyson's propelling age and the significant mileage from his extensive residency in boxing as troubling variables. He added, yet to the extent that getting smacked right in the face after all he getting hit in the face he's finished throughout the long term, I'd prefer not to see it. I get it's intended to be diversion. I surmise, yet it's not my scene. The UFC warrior recognized that while many might find Tyson's revisitation of the ring engaging, he by and by doesn't find it engaging, making aligned up with individual preferences for sports. Aspel featured his indifference with regards to boxing as an observer, comparing it to his indifference toward tennis. As per Aspen, certain individuals love tennis, that is everything to them. For me, very little premium in tennis, and it's no different for this. I'm certain individuals will observe, yet I hate this stuff now. We realize that Jake Paul has passionately discredited any idea of unfolding headgear for his forthcoming session anyway. While this detail is sure, some other parts of the profoundly expected July 20th battle remain covered in vulnerability, conceivably leaving fans expecting a customary boxing exhibition disheartened by USA Today. The rules for the standoff might envelop the ensuing limitations: the utilization of 16-0 boxing gloves as opposed to the conventional 10 Oz gloves Tyson used to convey probably the most wrecking knockouts in boxing history, 2-minute adjust as opposed to 3-minute adjust. No authority judges to score the battle. Taylor Mann, the correspondence's supervisor at the Texas Division of Permitting and Guideline, made sense of that in the event that the session is classified as a show rather than an authorized proficient match. Explicit guidelines would then be pertinent, she said. In the event that the session is assigned as a presentation instead of an endorsed proficient match, these guidelines would apply. The approaching choice lays on the shoulders of TDR in between time chief Brian E. Francis, who will weigh inputs and counsel from the TDR Contentious Games Group. Mange made sense of. She additionally said that a Texas show session requires bulkier boxing gloves, briefer rounds, and an absence of making a decision about holding confining LLC. The imminent advertiser, the ring, has formally placed in the solicitation for a zapping occasion scheduled for July 20th as affirmed by Mange. Yet Mange said, we have not gotten any proposed battle cards and consequently have no insight concerning what they are arranging. All sessions are likely to survey an endorsement by the Texas branch of Permitting and Guideline. Advertisers are expected to present their convincing setup of coordinates 21 days preceding the occasion. As per Mange's guidelines, an advertiser has the choice to appeal to for either a show match or an authorized proficient session. It's guessed that Holden Boxing will seek after an endorsed proficient battle. Mange clarified it's normal for an advertiser for demand a date while yet not promptly give the proposed card. They need to be certain that they've protected the date with us, since we'll need to ensure we have proper staffing accessible for any occasion after the distribution of the story. Mange said the advertiser should submit proposed cards before we decide if a specific challenge would be considered as a show or an expert battle, or how a proposed presentation may be organized after the battle cards are gotten. Mange said the aggressive game staff assesses the battle records of the warriors to guarantee contenders of rough abilities are matched genuinely. Furthermore, soldiers are obliged to finish fundamental clinical assessments with people matured 3-6 or more, commanded to outfit good discoveries from both an electroencephalogram and an electrocardiogram, as specified by Mange and E.